Welcome back to episode number 2 of the Miata Revival series. In the first episode, we went through and broke down everything that was wrong with this car, and there's quite a bit. But today we're going to be tackling the worst problem that I'm aware of.
And that's the rust. As you can tell, it's pretty bad.
Not only is it rusted out, it is a huge mess. I got a freaking Honda motor in there. I couldn't even tell you why. But when I purchased this car many years ago at this point, the rear end was smashed in. We got it pulled out. We got it fixed. New finish panel, whole 9 yards. But the seals around the headlights, I don't believe they ever sealed properly because the way they fit in is not exactly perfect. And then again, these are eBay taillights. And then if I was a betting man, I would say these self-tappers had something to do with it. So with that being said, I'm going to be showing you guys how I go about fixing this. I've never done body work on a car, so I think this is a good first step, especially doing it in a place nobody will see. And it's only slightly sketchy. The entire bottom is soaked in oil because I left so many oil containers back here that would leak. And the fuel tank is just right there. We're only going to be welding and grinding next to oil and gas. We'll figure it out. Oh shit, that was all over. So we got everything cleaned out for the most part. Nothing a shop vac can't fix for the rest of it, but comes to find out the battery tray area is pretty rusted. I don't know if it's going all the way through. There's a lot of surface rust. Could be from battery acid. Who really knows? But it's kind of wild. You can see where the bolts were. That is 30-year-old paint that is still fresh. I think that's kind of neat. So the main plan is to cut out around the area where the sound deadening is. That way I don't have to go through the whole process of removing it. And to me, it looks like everything's rusted in that area anyways. Might as well get it to the edge and then just clean that up, see how bad it is, and go from there. Now that we got a little bit of a game plan, I'm going to go through and show you guys everything I'm going to be using to tackle this project. Sheet metal. So everything I have here, I ordered pretty much off of Amazon other than the sheet metal, which I got kind of ripped off at Lowe's. I paid like 60 bucks for that for absolutely no reason. Anyways, got spray paint. We got seam sealer, which they sell this in a kit on Amazon, which is kind of nice. Comes with gloves and everything you need to use it. And then a welding blanket. This is probably the most crucial part for where we are going to be welding. We absolutely do not want to blow up the car. Best case scenario, we don't. Worst case scenario, we do. So we're trying to avoid that. I also got some epoxy primer to set out or spray out before we spray paint it. And I got some bed liner to spray up under it. That way it seals the bottom nice and good and don't get rust from the bottom. For the welding aspect, I'm going to be using my titanium unlimited 200s, my little Harbor Freight welder. For you guys, if you can't get a good decent welder, I wouldn't even consider that a good welder. You can go to Harbor Freight and get a cheap wire welder that does flux core for probably less than 200 bucks, and it would perfectly handle something like this because it's not really a lot of welding, it's a lot of tacking. Now, if you guys need any of this stuff, I have links down below. I ordered all my stuff off of Amazon. All my links are affiliate links. It helps fund the project. So if you guys want to do a project like this, pretty much everything you'll need is down below. Now, welding blankets are made of fiberglass. So for the love of God, for yourself, wear gloves. Picking out fiberglass absolutely sucks. One tip I do have for you guys if you plan on doing any kind of rust repair like this is to be very mindful of how you go about doing your cuts. Mine's not the best, there's definitely some jagged edges, but I got the tools to clean it up and get a good edge on it so that I can weld it. But what you cut out is what you're gonna have to weld back in, so don't cut too much. It's always better to cut less than it is to cut more, so that way later on you can go through and fix it. But I think in this case, I got it pretty close. I'm gonna have to do some finessing in these corners here because there's a lot of curvature to it, but that ain't nothing a hammer can't fix. This here is the piece of metal that we're going to be using to fix the rust, but I'm going to use a cardboard off of it to draw a template. That way we could cut out the metal to fit the trunk. The stainless steel sheet, which I probably should have got something a lot different than this, but I was trying to hurry up and get this done within a weekend. It ended up spending out to another weekend, so I ended up overpaying for this. I spent like 60 bucks. You could probably go to a scrap yard or find it just cheap sheet metal literally anywhere else and do the exact same thing. Stainless is probably not the best thing. I'm gonna have to paint this because when I weld it, the weld's gonna rust, but the stainless won't. So either way, I'm gonna have to fix this up a little bit more than what I need Alright, so now that I got the shape of the sheet metal cut out, I'm getting ready to weld it in, but part of the problem is now that I don't have anywhere to connect the ground clip for the welder. So I'm going to tack on this piece of metal to the sheet metal. Now I got a place to ground out to, so that way I can weld it out and not necessarily interfere with everything else. I can move this around on the other sides of the tabs and it should still work, and I should be able to clean it up where it don't look half bad. Now that I got it tacked in, I'm going to go through and go around and hammer in each of the corners to kind of basically press fit around the edges where they need to go, because there's a lot of curvature within the trunk pin. Also, a little bit of a tip is if you notice when I was tacking, I was putting my hand over where I was welding. That is preventing the sparks from kind of going away, because I'm angled this way. The arc hits it, it's going to go up this way. So the hand kind of contains it, and that way it don't spread out everywhere, and it kind of reduces the risk of blowing this thing up. I did make a mistake and did not prep the metal good enough, so I'm going to have to take these tacks off, and I'm going to go through and trace out where the pan is touching. That way I got some clean metal to weld to. Now as you're going through and tacking the metal, you're going to want to take a hammer or something to get it to fit along these edges. If you're better at cutting and fabricating than I am, you probably won't have to do any of that, but someone that's never done this before, what I've been doing is hammering it as I go, getting it to fit along the edges as smooth as I can get it. It's definitely not a airtight fit, but it's good enough that if I throw some seam sealer in it, that it won't be a problem in the long run. Well, the tacking process is pretty much done. It looks like not very good, but we're just tacking it. This isn't actually welding it. This is just enough to keep it secure to the car and not be rusted. And also I can actually put stuff down here now without it falling out pretty much. That's pretty good to me. All right, now that we've got the worst of it out of the way, we got the pan tacked in, we got it cut out and everything. That was probably the hardest part. Now it's kind of prepping everything to seam seal it and paint it. And this is the only other problematic area. I think most of that is surface rust. I'm gonna take a wire wheel to it, clean it up the best I can, some other spots in the back there, and I'd say it's about ready for paint once we get it cleaned up pretty good. Yeah, wire wheel's not cutting that. I'm gonna get some sanding paper, some stuff to properly clean it. If I'm gonna do it, I wanna do it right, so we're gonna have to hold off on painting this area or just prepping it because it needs a lot more than I thought it would. So we're gonna go through and clean up the edges around here, and we're gonna get ready to seam seal it. Never done that before, but I imagine it's a pretty straightforward process. You just make sure the edges are clean, and you just throw that crap on there. Well, now that we put an absurd amount of seam sealer on it, we're gonna go through. I completely missed that seam. That is, okay, well, this is no longer a tutorial. I don't know what I'm doing. We're gonna go through and try to smooth this out the best we can and go back over some of these edges because this is pretty rough. Well, I spared you guys of the hour to hour and a half I spent just scrubbing and sanding and getting all the grease out of the trunk. Really, all I used was some multi-purpose engine degreaser and picked this up at O'Reilly's. It was just some rust dissolver gel. And honestly, it cleaned up a lot of this problematic area where the battery tray was, especially like right here along the frame rail. Had a lot of surface rust. We had some back through here. I forgot to wipe that up. Got to clean that up. But it made a big difference. I think it's ready to be painted. But before we paint the interior of the trunk, we're going to jack it up and finish sealing off the underside. We got to seam seal it. Well, we got to hammer up the loose edges, seam seal it all, and then we're going to undercoat it with some black undercoating that I got from Harbor Freight. And then on the interior, I'm going to do some of this undercoating on the inside. It's supposed to be white, so I guess it would kind of keep the white theme going. It might make it look a little bit better because right now it's a little crusty looking. And I think this stuff will hold up a little bit better than just some black spray paint, which is what I originally was going to do, but we're going to avoid that. I just want to take one quick second to appreciate this lineup one last time. I'm going to be selling the Civic today. You guys probably seen the video or you can go watch it. I'm going to be selling the 240. Next week I got a video coming out about that. And yeah, so freaking sick. I'm going to miss these cars, but it'll be all right. There we go. We got the corners flattened out a little bit. If it would focus for you guys. There we go. We got the corners flattened out a little bit. Now we're going to go through and degrease it. That way the seam sealer has a little bit better of a contact surface, and then should be good to go. That little corner up above that exhaust hanger is definitely hanging down some, but it is what it is. We did the best we could, I guess. For some reason, I don't see this going very well, but we will, we're going to full send it. That's what we're going to do. Try not to plug up the seams. So we got the seam sealer done on the bottom side. Obviously, it's not the best looking. We got some drippage in some corners, but the seams are sealed. In the meantime, we are going to go through and paint the interior of the trunk. Originally, the plan was to go through and paint it all and have a whole brand new trunk interior. I was going to get all the parts for it, make it look good, and fix my trunk latch at the same time because I currently don't have a latch that works because the cable's broke and both of my keys are broke, so I can't even use a keyhole. I also figured out the undercoating spray that I thought was white is just black, so we are going with black on the inside with a rubberized coating, and it should seal this up pretty good and prevent it from rusting down the line. I'm very happy with the way this battery area turned out. This should clean up pretty good and turn out pretty nice. So just get some painting going and see how it turns out. Well, there we have it, guys. The milk chocolate has been applied. It looks pretty decent. Obviously, this is probably not the most professional work you guys have ever seen, but for my first time, I think it'll get the job done, and I think it'll stay relatively rust-free. I'm just happy that I don't have a hole in my trunk anymore, and, you know, for my first time, I think it turned out pretty good. And I think that sums up the video, guys. If you have any questions about anything I used or how I went about any of this process, leave a comment down below. I'd be happy to help. I got some updates coming out soon. I know I said I was going to upload a video every week, but you know, things have changed, and you guys will find out about that in the next video. Also, I did not sell the Civic. The dude blew me off. So anyway, see you guys in the next one.